welcome, and I guess we'll have a roll call.
Chair Sidney, Kristen Miller, Heather Dale,
Here.
Jane Donnelly,
Here.
Lauren Davidson,
Here.
Tracy Stevens,
Here.
Donna Clark,
Here.
and Councillor Legree. Chair, we have quorum.
Okay, land acknowledgement. I don't have a copy of the land acknowledgement.
Oh yeah, I gave mine all to Carolyn and you have a different one. I'll do land acknowledgement.
Thank you. Kelly?
As we gather, we would like to acknowledge we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Honoring the traditional territories of the Indigenous peoples is one of the 94 calls to action of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's report. To do this properly, we encourage everyone to learn more about the lands we call home, as we all have a role to play in reconciliation.
Thank you, Kelly. Now we will have a review of the consensus agenda. Let's see. The review of agenda. I'm never sure what that means.
If there's any additions or...
Okay, any additions to the agenda? All right. The minutes of the June 19th regular meeting.
Sorry, I just need the chair to call for a mover and a seconder.
Do we not review them first?
She's talking about the agenda.
Oh, the
consensus agenda.
okay. Okay, so could we have a mover, please?
I'll move. And I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, so any comments on the minutes of the regular meeting, June 19th? Any errors or omissions? No. The stats, June, July, August, September. Comments, anybody? No? Okay. My only comment is that things continue to go up as far as attendance and events, so I think that's a good sign. The library activity reports. Kelly or Maggie, do you have anything to comment on the activity reports?
Nothing really to add. Everything looked good when I reviewed them, and I'm excited to be here. I'd like to add that, I guess.
That's great.
Kelly?
Okay.
Just quickly, so we had super busy summer. We're a little bit behind, so it feels like talking about summer was months and months and months ago. But we had a great summer student. The programs went well, and registration was regularly full. We've now moved into the fall program. We're starting our early literacy and et cetera for the fall. So I'm just trying to get to the latest report here. There we go. Apologies, my computer decided to stick here. We will be releasing, I believe, next November. We'll start working on the next program guide, which will slowly be released to cover December, January, February. A few of the points, if my computer would stop freezing. It's okay. I think it's just very. Do you have the September one? Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Okay. So just, we did receive notice to bargain, so we will be beginning union negotiations within the coming month, hopefully. Maggie obtained a quote for replacement for the windows on the third floor of the program building, which we'll talk about a little bit later in capital, which might be part of our capital request for 2024. I believe we now have our painting, finally, once hunting season is over, will commence to get the upper floor done, which is actually the front part of the main floor will be done before December, and then we can get our TV up and finally get that area back to the way it should be, which would be great, and then start using the television to promote and market our services and programs. This week is Ontario Public Library Week, so just a reminder, we have a big book sale going on in the library, so we appreciate any donations or monetary or to come in and purchase some books towards that would be great. We also have displays and other things going on in the library. We put in the sensory station so that there's a small area. It's one thing, we do not have a lot of room in the library, so it's nice to have somewhere for children that just need that quiet spot to decompress to have. So that will be set up, and there's also a backpack kit that can be signed out that the parents or children can sign out while in the library to use. And then I think, so the other thing is we're asking that, because I also sit on the committee's just changed names, I believe. So it's going to be the Community Services and Economic Development Committee. So I've asked that each month I'm also able to bring through a small presentation from the library as well. So I think that'll be nice to just be included in that sort of committee structure, which would be great, especially when we start looking at sharing programs, and so we can see what's going on right through the town. So that's everything. Thanks.
Thanks, Kelly. Any comments, anybody? Okay. And okay, so that, any conflict of interest on anything that's on this agenda? Okay, financial statement. Any comments on the financial statements?
Through you. So we also have, I just submitted the Public Library Operating Grant for this year. It was just opened, so it was late opening. So we hopefully will be receiving that funding in the coming month, I believe, but definitely before the end of the year. So that is on its way.
Okay. Okay. I just had a question myself on the, just in the statement of revenues and expenses, there's a thing called facility rentals of $40,000, and then there's also deferred revenue in the budget. Are they two separate things?
So I think we weren't sure where to put that. It was the first time coming in, so
Right, okay.
the deferred was actually, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. For this year, though, I believe, it depends if they need to take it out of deferred, which they did this year.
Yes, okay.
And it may be that next year as well. So I have to go back to finance and ask them where they just want that in.
Okay, all right. So there actually isn't $80,000 in total, because they're both listed in the budget. So I'm just
Sorry, let me
curious
just
about
pull it
that.
up so I can have a look. So that was any of the financial statements?
That's on any of the financial statements? Yeah. So right now, the monthly rent is coming out of deferred revenue. So,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
and then there's also
Oops.
the,
Yeah, so I'll get that corrected.
okay,
Yeah.
that's great. And I had one other question. Could you just explain to me again what online resources is? Is that all the programs that are purchased for the library that are used online?
Yeah, that's all of our databases,
Okay,
and
all right.
also includes like Insignia, which is our book data, our cataloging database
Okay.
and stuff as well.
So those are only get paid for occasionally, like every few months?
Once a year, most of them come out.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thanks. Any other questions? Okay, so would someone like to move that the financial statement be accepted? Or is that already in this consensus agenda? Pardon?
No, this part's
Okay. Okay, so a mover for the financial statements accepted? Tracy, thank you.
I will move that it be accepted.
And seconder?
I will second it.
Thank you. Okay, business arriving from the minutes. New business, the review of the agreement for library services with Horton Township. Recommended action, the Renfrew Public Library Board agrees to extend the agreement for library services with Horton Township for an additional 36 months. So if, any questions?
Why 36 months? Like, why is it 2.5 years? Sorry.
Shouldn't we ask questions?
Yeah, that's what I don't know. Yeah, okay. So questions?
So could we have a little discussion at this point? Yes? Okay. I was just wondering about the 36 months as well, and I wondered if it's because it aligns with the term of the current council. So there's a 4-year term when positions are elected, and it's a 4-year term. So this is 36 months. So is that so that it aligns within that last year, or should it be something that's extended? I know that we're all looking at it as a long-term commitment, and that is our goal, that it continue. So it was just a thought. I was just wondering why the 36 months originally, or is that just a reasonable term because of the term of the council?
I think that it was originally done because it was a trial to see how it was going to work. And also, the recommendation is not to extend a contract beyond 5 years at the most, because you want to be able to go back and negotiate and renegotiate terms, especially with pricing and costing. What we didn't realize is we didn't catch this, so it's already overdue, whereas I would probably go in, pull it apart, see how we're doing, look at finances, and possibly request an increase based on what we're seeing. Whether we extend it, we can also extend it for a shorter period of time and then review it sooner. My recommendation would be not to extend it longer than 36 months at this point, because I think we're going to need to review it. But that's, yeah, I think it was just because it was a trial and that was kind of established between the people involved in the original contract. That.
Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate clarification.
Okay.
Appreciate the clarification.
So I have another question then. So if we are past due, because it was July 2020, are we doing our 36 months from July past? Okay.
Generally, that's the way that you have to do it. I mean, just to keep everything kind of so that it doesn't look, when they look back historically, it won't look like there was a lapse in the agreement.
So could we not have it expire in July, since we don't tend to meet in July? Like, could we pick 32 months so that it won't end when we aren't meeting?
Yeah, the board can vote on whatever date they would like to see it amended to.
Okay. So then we need somebody to motion that the Renfrew Public Library Board agrees to extend the agreement for library services with Horton Township for additional 36 months. We need someone to motion.
I will motion
Okay,
that.
motion, okay. And seconder?
I will second it.
And we need all in favor? Okay, thank you. Motion passed. Okay, next are the policy reviews. the recommended action that the Renfrew Public Library Board accept the addition of the equity, diversity, and inclusion policy and the changes to the following policies as presented. Do you want me just to read these?
I would recommend you go through and then you can pass or amend this if you see fit. You've put it on the floor, so now you can discuss and then vote on it at the end.
Okay, so Government 1, purposes and duties of the boards. First of all, has everyone had a chance to look at them? And are there any of the policies that you have questions about? Anything where you noticed any things that need correcting? Tracy?
Jane, I just have a question for Kelly. Kelly, when these things are reworded, it's to update the language, correct? And it also, I believe in the past, it's been based on is it a provincial template, or could you just explain that, please? And this is, I'm sure, in keeping with that.
Yeah, so the Ontario Library Service goes through policies and lets us know yearly which ones legislatively need to be updated, which ones have been updated, and then there's also ones that we just haven't had a chance to add. Like last year was kind of crazy, so we didn't get that equity diversity one in there. So yeah, they're all recommended either at the provincial or at the Ontario Library Service level. So yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And there was one little thing that I think was a typo that I noticed on, this would be on Government 4, Policy Development. I think you, in the very last paragraph, rescinding, says canceled from the suite of Trillium Public Library policies. I think it probably should say Renfrew.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. And anything else that anyone has noticed? Okay, so then we need a motion to accept the recommended action. Would someone like to motion, please?
I will motion that we accept them as amended.
Thank you, Heather. And seconder?
I will second that.
Thank you. And all in favor? Okay, thank you. Motion passed. Okay, moving on to G3, draft capital budget. Kelly, would you like to lead us on that one?
So we've started working on budget for 2024. Next month I will be bringing forward the operations budget. It's almost completed. Maggie and I have been working on the draft of that, so we'll be bringing that forward next month. Right now, the first thing is usually capital. So there's a few things that we're looking at for 2024. One of the things we've noticed since replacing some of the bays, well, first there was the entrances, which we kind of know about. We did apply for a Trillium grant. However, if we're not successful in that, then we need to look at definitely replacing the front step because there's holes in it that are getting to be a health and safety issue. And we have filled them. I will just state we've filled them every year, but it's just getting to that point where it needs replacing. And the sliding door on Raglan, we've also replaced on fixed, repaired on an annual basis, and that's just not going to make it much longer. So those two definitely need to be looked at being replaced. And the other thing is the shelving. So since putting some of the accessible shelving in for the renovation for the circulation desk, we've noticed it would just be a lot easier to bring the other shelving down. So we're figuring if we do so many a year, it will get us to that point then where everything is accessible and easier. The other thing is adding mobile shelving. So our suggestion, we have a very old unit right now that we cannot budge that holds our DVD collection. It's very heavy, it's not overly stable, but by putting in the movable shelving and having our paperback rack also made movable, we can shove that stuff out of the way, and then our main floor can become a programming area. So right now, we're so short on space that that's kind of the only way that we can increase floor space for programs. So that's why that came forward. The other one is our library sign. I'm sure people have noticed that one side of our library sign is missing a letter, and it also says that it has cap access, which has not been around since in a very, very long time. So it'd be nice to get that sign updated to kind of reflect everything else that's been going on in the building. And the other thing that was brought forward and was recommended by some town administrative staff was to replace the windows in the upstairs program center because it looks so awful from the main street, and it is kind of an eyesore, and we do have ones that have fallen out, some that are cracked. It's just, so it would be kind of a first step in doing something to that upper floor of the program center. So those are the items that I'm suggesting for the 2024 capital. Obviously, we may bring it forward and it will either get, accepted or not, but those are my recommendations for the coming year.
I just have a question. So obviously, renovating the top floor is a huge capital project. So you're starting with the windows, I guess? What is the hope for the rest of the floor?
So we've applied to Infrastructure Canada for a very, very large grant. I want to say 1.2 million, and we have not heard. So we replied in the first round, we were denied. We applied again in the second round and still have not heard. So if we were to get that, then we can kind of do it all at once. If not, I think at this point it's just visually to make it a little bit better for the main street, and they're trying to kind of fix up the main street, and we're just kind of doing our part with the windows. We would have to really look at a whole strategy if we don't get the infrastructure grant on how we want to go about raising funds for the full renovation.
Okay, so you applied and didn't hear back, so I guess you're just waiting to hopefully hear back.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? Anybody? Okay. Next on the agenda,
apologies, I think we need to, I forgot to put in a vote, but I'm wondering if we
okay,
can
so
do a
you
vote
want to
to
vote
accept
on the draft capital budget
Yeah.
then, please?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so can we have a motion that we approve the capital budget as drafted? Okay,
I will make that motion.
thank you, Tracy. And seconder?
I will second that motion.
Thank you, Laura. And all in favor? Okay. Next on the agenda, G4, board member resignation.
So unfortunately, we did receive notice that Kristen Miller has stepped down from the board, effective immediately, due to work and home life demands. And she did say in her letter, "Thank you for the opportunity to contribute to such a worthy organization. I have truly valued the opportunity to work with the Renfrew Public Library, as it is a group of amazing and dedicated individuals, and I wish you I wish the best to you and other members going forward." So we're sad to see Kristen go, but
Yes.
she has stepped down.
Okay. And we're good as far as numbers go, still?
Yes, under our current bylaw, we are.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay, then next on the agenda is a closed session.
There's no closed session this
Okay,
meeting, so
so-
we're fine. Yeah.
So that's off? Okay. So then the next meeting is scheduled for November, not even sure. November 20th, thank you. And would someone like to adjourn? Motion to adjourn?
I will. I didn't think we did it anymore. No, I was going to say we.
Okay, thank you. All right.